Hey, what's up guys? It's Mike. I'm with my buddy John, and today we're going to be talking about an interesting topic. How much weight should you be lifting? This is a topic that's really interesting because John and I we used to lift super heavy weight, and we never really thought about the reason, not just more of the reason, but more of a stopping point. At what point is your bench press very impressive and you just don't need to go any heavier? At what point, when you're deadlifting or when you're squatting or when you're doing all of your heavy lifts, not just those compound lifts, but even like a one-arm roll or a curl, at what point is your lift heavy enough and you don't need to strive for more? We have three main things to talk about, and the first one is that 99% of guys or anybody are never gonna see you lift any weight.
First concept is a bit of goal hijacking, where you get caught up trying to lift more weight just for the sake of lifting more weight, to impress that 1% of people who might see you in the gym. And like we said, in your daily life, it's really gonna have very little impact. And it kind of just turns into bragging rights. Can you outlift the next guy in the gym? And one of the problems when you're chasing that is there's always a stronger guy.
Even if you tell somebody that you lift X amount of weight, number one, that doesn't mean they're gonna believe you.
People are gonna size you up and look at your body and decide if they think you're telling the truth or not anyway.
So it doesn't even matter.
No, it doesn't matter at all. And you may not, regardless of what you say, you may not even do that exercise. And they may believe that you could or couldn't, right?
The second thing though is, on this first point, is not only do guys will never see you lift, but girls, not only will they never see you lift, but they don't even care, nor do they understand how much is a lot of weight. Think about this, guys. Have you ever had, maybe your girlfriend or a chick, you're working out, they're like, oh my God, you're so strong. They compare your strength to them. They compare, it's like a little girl going, oh my God, John, you're so strong, you can lift 200 pounds on a bench press. They don't know the difference, but to them, they can lift like the bar.
They're impressed if you're stronger than them. They don't care if like Mike's stronger than me.
If you lift super heavy, there is a lot of pitfalls. And one of the major pitfalls is injuries. How much weight should you lift? Well, I want you to think about injuries beforehand, because does heavy weight get you bigger muscles? Hell yeah. But does heavy weight injure you? Have you gotten injured before lifting heavy?
Yeah, I've done it with deadlifts, I've done it with squats, and I've done it with bench press, so the big three.
What are the common injuries with heavy bench press?
The most common injury with a heavy bench press is in the shoulders.
Dang, I got that before.
And also you can get it in the elbow. But a lot of guys find that bench press might not be the most effective chest builder because it ends up being more strain on the shoulder in either an injury way, or it might actually just redirect the actual muscle gaining to the shoulder. I started out bench pressing when I was younger, and I would hit a limit where I wouldn't gain anymore, I would just start getting shoulder pain. And that's kind of how I knew to answer this question, well, I can't go any heavier on bench press because it's not doing anything for my chest, it's just causing more and more shoulder pain. And it didn't matter how much time I took away to heal and come back, I always seemed to get injured at the same weight. So it's like that was my kind of genetic bench press strength limit.
That's a good point, because I experienced very similar. I was very strong in bench press, and now finally I still have a decent bench press, but injuries, shoulders, elbows, wrists. I would grab the bar right here like this, and my wrist would hurt a lot of times right here. So I switch it around, I go with what they call like a suicide grip. Then there'll be other places that'll hurt, and at some point you're like, man, why am I doing all this injuring myself, And that's one of the pitfalls of lifting heavy. And believe it or not, that's also with good form. It's not like you're doing bad form. You can go good form and still injure yourself. So squats, have you ever got injured doing squats before?
Yeah, I've pulled a hamstring squats and hip flexors too. Hip flexors can get really tight from squatting, and if you're not really good with your stretching routine and paying attention to your hip flexibility and your knees, you can get to the point where squatting just causes more pain than any sort of muscle development. And squatting, it's important because it's a highly technical lift. Actually, the bench press, the squat, and the deadlift are very technical lifts, but they're also the lifts that guys want to chase a lot of weight on. So you got to be real good with your form to get strong at those lifts, and consistently good with your form. And like you said, you could still get injured even in perfect form.
If you're lifting with good weight, you build muscle. You lift with super heavy weight, you might get injured. So you want to think about that when you're asking yourself this question, how much weight should I be lifting? And the last exercise is deadlifts. Have you got injured doing deadlifts before?
got into doing deadlifts. I pulled a muscle that ended up giving me a sciatic nerve problem, where the nerve is pinched and it just kind of radiates down your leg. And I was out of commission for months.
You were going heavy.
Because I was going heavy. And
how many reps were you doing on that one?
Not very many. I was doing reps of 6, and on the 5th rep I got, that's when it went.
Yeah.
So like I said, these are highly technical lifts. You have to be doing them in perfect form every single rep of every set, every time you do those lifts. And I mean, we just all get tired throughout a workout, and at some point, the risk from reward, it just keeps going up the heavier and heavier you try to push those lifts.
So let's get down to the main points. So John, he's a good buddy of mine, and John specializes in teaching guys not just how to work out and lift heavy, but how to go ahead and like shape their body. And that's really the third point that we're gonna be talking about, which is why do you need to lift heavy?
My assumption, and this is what I did and everybody I know did, and what I think you all do, is you go to the gym to build a better looking body. Now, along with that comes strength.
Yeah.
But the specific strength that you have in any given lift is specific just for that lift. And so you want to know how much weight you should lift to build the best looking body. So what I think is you want a lean, muscular, V-tapered body with wide shoulders, thick chest, thick upper back, proportionate legs. But that is how you think of how much should I lift to build that specific shape.
Yeah.
And that's how you know which exercise you should be doing and how heavy you should be going on those exercises when you fit it back into, is this exercise actually making me look better, or is it making me look worse, or all am I doing is increasing my risk of injury and it's not really making me look any better at all?
Yeah, because believe it or not, not every single lift is gonna create the shape that John's talking about. That shape, it's basically what we call a Darn's Golden Ratio, which is basically the perfect ratio from shoulders to waist that gives you the ideal look. Now, almost everybody knows this look. If you think about it, guys, when you close your eyes and think about the way you want to look, you may be thinking, you know, very big, or you may be thinking, you know, very lean, athletic, but almost every single time in your mind, you're thinking this body that has like a slight V taper, you know, chest, shoulders, may not be too crazy, but it V's down into small waistline, right? You can be ripped or you can not be ripped, just flat, but it's always a similar shape. Not every single exercise is gonna build that ratio. A lot of exercises could throw your body off that ratio.
If you're doing too much deadlifting and squatting, and too much in terms of too much, too often, and too heavy, and maybe you're neglecting a bit more of your upper body work, you could actually end up taking away from that V taper, that powerful look, the kind of look Mike has right here, and end up bottom heavy and thick through the waist, which ends up making your upper body look smaller. Even if we measure it and it's pretty big, people don't see you in parts, they see you as one whole unit.
Yeah.
And so if you make this area too thick and your legs too thick and you spend a little bit less time on your upper body, you'll actually ruin the look.
Yeah.
Even though you might have a real big bench press or a real big deadlift and a real big squat, but it took away from your look instead of enhancing it.
If you look at John, if you turn to the side, I mean, you can see from the front, look at this guy. You can see, look how big his chest is. This guy has a massive ass chest. I mean, I'm not scared to say, look, his chest is much bigger than mine. But how much do you bench?
Well, and that's the thing, I don't bench press.
You see?
I stopped bench pressing years ago because two things would happen. I'd either get more shoulder development than chest development, or shoulder pain. And
yeah,
so
when somebody looks at your body, they're like, man, damn, this guy looks good. You know, has a big chest, everything looks proportional, but you don't even bench press. And that's bench press is like the most popular exercise by far with every single guy on earth, but you don't even do it, but yet you have the body that a lot of guys want, and you don't even do bench pressing, which basically really emphasizes the point we're talking about, which is it doesn't matter how much weight you lift, it only matters at the end how your body looks. Because John can go ahead and tell you, he can lie to you and tell you that he benches 400 pounds, and I guarantee you'd believe him. I believe him. He goes, hey Mike, yeah, actually I bench 400. Oh yeah. It's not about how much weight you're pushing, right? It's like what John said. If you're strong, if you can bench press 300 pounds, that means you are strong in doing bench press. It doesn't even mean that you're gonna have a big chest. Because I can bench more than John, but his chest is bigger than mine. You see what I'm saying, guys? It doesn't mean that you're stronger, because just because I can bench, let's say 300 pounds, doesn't mean that I'm stronger in something else. That just only means, only in bench press, I'm strong in that, right? Let's say, just because you can bench, let's say 300 pounds, doesn't mean you can punch harder than a boxer.
Don't get us wrong, I mean, I still recommend that you do squatting, bench pressing, deadlifting, and some of the other major core lifts. But just make sure you keep them in context with how heavy they are and how that's relating to making your body look better. And if you want more information on how to incorporate these lifts to make your body look better, you can go to my website at adonisgoldenratio.com/Mike, and you can learn more about how to use these lifts to make your body look better.
Yeah, so check out the website. It's really gonna help you out, and so much might be to where you need to lift heavy, but at the same time though, you're gonna have that end goal and have that badass body that you really want. So thanks for watching this video, guys. Hope this helped you out, and we'll see y'all guys next time. Peace.